Okay, there is a question that they are asking me, Engin, why Devon won against Ermes, maybe even easier than Levan did. Do you have any answer for this? My answer is that, like, again, you went totally outside. I think Devon had more hand wrist control, a little bit more, and he's also at the setup. He tires his opponent. My opinion, after round two, Hermes's wrist was exhausted. After 3-0, I asked Hermes, remember, we talked like you're gonna go full 5 rounds. He said, in my hand is just totally, finished. Like his arm was so pumped, everything, his hand, like he could pull 2 more, but I mean, not really, So what does
Levan is asking what was the final score?
3-0.
Why not 5-0?
Because oh yeah, it should be 5-0. Yeah, you're right. Because they said that they were gonna pull 5 rounds. You're right. No, I mean 3-0. It was when we asked him, if you want to continue or not. But if you realize that round 3, in the strap, Levan, the guy just couldn't, Devon even started the flash pinning him, and so his hand was exhausted. So what Devon is doing, Devon is applying power. If the guy is matching his power, he gets tired. If he doesn't match his power, then Devon gets what he wants. That with a few millimeter or half centimeter, he gets. If the guy doesn't apply power, so Hermes chose to stay light, but still it didn't work. So what do you think about this match, Levan? I'm curious to hear from you.
Πάνε μεκητρებიანო.
Natura, psychology.
Levan expected such an outcome. He knew that Devon was a very strong opponent for Ermes, and he thinks that psychologically it was very hard for Ermes to apply all his force during the match. He thinks that even before the match started, Ermes was already mentally much weaker and didn't manage to apply all his force and power.
Levan, in my opinion, there are I divide the wrist to 2 sections. One is at the beginning position to handle the pressure. The pressure comes, the start position, and you don't lose your wrist. Everything is solid. See, your wrist is like this, Levan, in my opinion. Your wrist is like whenever you and Devon went out, like you also a little bit at the pin, you lose a little bit, but Devon's was even more. So your beginning position is so solid. So that's why when you and Ermes hit, your wrist survived, while he lost his wrist. But there is another type of wrist that whenever you don't lose your wrist, you can also curl so strong. Hermes's wrist is like this. If he doesn't lose his wrist is very strong to curl. But at the beginning position, when the pressure comes, he's also losing his wrist. So I think that, in my opinion, Hermes needs to train for that, handling the pressure at the start position. Because if your wrist doesn't handle, you will never be able to use your curling. So your wrist is probably the most, the strongest, your wrist. And when you and Devon pull back pressure, your wrist handle better than Devon's. But Devon's was closer to your wrist than Hermes was. Whenever you pull Hermes lost his wrist right away. Yeah. So what would you suggest to Hermes?
He's saying that with all due respect to Hermes, he really still did a great job considering all the medical and surgical intervention that he had on the wrist. Of course, there are exercises he can do on the wrist, and I'm sure he knows them. Those are very common. And of course, he would benefit from training his wrist to control it. But he definitely has to also prepare and be ready psychologically this probably comes with experience too, because however you train, if you are not prepared at the start of the match, it becomes harder and harder to apply your force. So he probably, the best advice would be to work on strength and on the mental preparedness too.
Can you ask Levan the mental problem at the beginning of the match? May that be related to what he felt during the setup?
Tamaşta seviyorum ama
his answer is that, of course, Ermes felt the difference during the setup too, and that might have played the role. But we can even look at the entrance. For example, we can compare the entrance that Ermes had with Jerry Caderet and the entrance he had with Devon. Even at that stage, the difference is apparent, even during the interviews. This is very common strategy by Devon. He tried to do the same with Levan too, even during the match. But in case of Levan, it somehow played in benefit to him and made him even angrier. And in his case, this strategy was not efficient. But with Ermes, we could clearly see that he was uncomfortable and he didn't feel strength during the setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the next day, same night, Brett Grundy and Rudnick train with Devon in the morning, like 4 or 5 hours later in the restaurant at the garden side. And then Devon probably slept a few hours. And then next day, Devon and Ermes tried again, even though Devon didn't have so long sleep and he pulled a lot with us. And I asked Ermes, and Ermes said when he started like this, he was beaten. But whenever he started straight, Devon still was taking his risk. So in my opinion, whatever he felt, maybe during all those days we were together, they were gripping time to time. And whatever he felt during the setup, I think that affected his confidence. If Ermes would hold someone and then feel like he can beat, you understand? I think that the confidence would be going up. But it is not that easy. Devon is, people takes him lightly. And I would understand if they would take Devon or those WAL times lightly. But I really personally don't believe that this is the same Devon. I don't believe that. Right now, he has all those 30, 35 years of experience with all healed up elbow, wrist, everything the parts are holding. Whenever I was in Dubai, I watched him against Dave Chaffee. He was going right with the go to flop wrist. This, I was like, how, because we are older, we had millions of miles on the arm. We cannot do those things. And he's telling me that, Engin, right now I am able to do the things even when I was young, I wasn't able to do. So then I'm just thinking that the guy is already good arm master, good coordination and everything. And if you realize that his center is now better, his arm is not like all the time moving here. In his center, here is better. And he will be, in my opinion, he will be getting better and better. So to Levan, you better prepare yourself even better than last time, because next time it may not be as easy. You may still win. I don't know, you will probably favor us, but I'm sure that, do you think that next time you meet him, he will be stronger than the last time you played against him?
He says that indeed that's very impressive, and he thinks that if they have the match again in the future, that Devon might be slightly stronger. The main advantage that he will have is that he will already have the experience of pulling with Levan. And for the high-level arm wrestler like he is, that's a big advantage. He might prepare specifically for him, for Levan, but he promises to his fans when he's healthy, Devon will still have no chance against him.